It's easy to get stuck reaching for the same familiar fruits and vegetables, even when you know a colorful variety is key. Balance of Nature's fruits and veggie supplements don't replace fruits and vegetables, but it makes it easy to add more variety to what you already eat. With 31 ingredients that are whole fruits and vegetables, switching it up is easy because we've already taken care of the hard part. Go to balanceofnature.com and get a free fiber and spice supplement, plus 35% off your first set as a new preferred customer by using discount code POD.
Hey friends, this is Audie Cornish, host of CNN This Morning and The Assignment, and guess what? Every story you care about, every angle you want unpacked is now streaming on CNN. That means you can catch my show or other CNN programming whenever you want on your favorite device. And a subscription also gets you access to exclusive video series and unlimited articles. So subscribe to CNN at cnn.com/subscription.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back, folks. This is the More Money Show, and we are on Red Apple Audio Network. Thank you so much for joining in this busy weekend. So a lot happened this week. One of the most important issues of the week is what is going to happen with healthcare costs. I just got my healthcare statement. Our healthcare premiums are going to go up by 16%. A lot of people are getting notices that their healthcare costs are going to go up by 20, 25%, even 30%. I've heard people say their healthcare costs will go up 30% this year. Families cannot afford this. So when I heard these numbers, I thought, who can explain what the heck is going on with our healthcare system where these costs are exploding? And of course, I thought of Cynthia Fisher, who is one of the smartest people I know about our healthcare system. Her whole career has been in healthcare. She is the chairman of a group called Patient Rights Advocates. And she is going around the country and talking about why we need a better way to have transparency for patients in terms of what these things cost: hospital costs, drug costs, physician costs, all of these things. Nobody knows. It's the stupidest way to run a healthcare system. So Cynthia, thanks so much for joining this afternoon.
Well, thank you so much, Steve. It's a pleasure to be here. And as founder and chair of PatientRightsAdvocate.org, this is a critical time for the American people because they're feeling the sting of our healthcare system run amok because the insurance premiums, as you mentioned, and the coverage costs for the average American and American businesses, to your point, are going up for the small and medium-sized businesses, 20%, 30%. Well, that's 10 times higher than inflation, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's ludicrous. And there's no way the big insurance companies that administer these plans can justify this overreach. And the hospitals and the insurance companies, as long as they hide prices, Steve, they can charge whatever they want. And that's why we need prices.
This is exactly the point I wanted you to make, because I've learned so much about the healthcare system from you, Cynthia. And you have pointed out that if nobody asks what things cost in the healthcare system because somebody else is always paying for it, and there's no healthcare price transparency, you have a surgery, you have a hospitalization, you got to go to a patient visit for a doctor. Nobody knows what things cost, and you're the one who showed me that you can have a hospital that charges, I don't know, $6,000 for an MRI, and then you go down the street, and another one's charging $10,000. It's no way to run a healthcare system. Explain why we don't have healthcare transparency, and explain about how these costs. So how can you have one hospital charging 10 times more than another one for the same procedure?
Because the prices are hidden. It's that simple. And there are so many middle players that both the hospitals and the insurance companies have created or hired to figure out how to maximize their margins in the shadows. And we know sunlight is the best disinfectant. And you, as an economist, Steve, you know that any functional market needs to have prices be truly transparent. And the only thing in our economy where we don't have prices and we don't have transparency, and we see this runaway highway robbery happening every single day at every patient encounter and to every single employer plan, is healthcare. And, it functions, markets function. Free markets work when there's competition, and price and quality is what people want to know. They want to know, what are they going to get and what is it going to cost them? And we're at this moment in time where we see this huge issue that is a 96%. It polls at 96% of Americans. The 4% probably were polled at being hospital administrators or insurance company executives. But 96% of the American people, bipartisan, want to have prices because they believe firmly when they do see prices, they could see whether or not they were true to the bills, like they do in any other part of any other market. And then employers, they want access to the payment that they share with the workers in the workers' paychecks and take-home pay. Because, look, who really pays for all of healthcare is all of us. The American worker, we pay for our healthcare as both contributing a deduction from our paycheck before we get it as take-home pay. We share the expense of the coverage with our employers, and it's the American companies and employers that are sharing it with their workers. And we all pay as taxpayers for Medicaid and Medicare. So the only thing that's going to drive down these costs, and the only thing that's going to make healthcare affordable, is really simple, is to have full disclosure of the actual prices.
Right.
And the hospitals and insurance companies negotiate them on a yearly basis. So they know in advance what they've agreed upon contractually. They're just hiding it from the true people that pay.
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.
So, Cynthia, here's the question that I have, and I think a lot of our listeners do. How is it possible that, this is the only thing that we buy that I can think of where nobody knows what anything costs? Is it the insurance companies? Is it the hospitals? Why is it that nobody will tell us what these things cost? Because you just made a key point that I as an economist agree 100%. When we're all paying all of this money for this insurance and we load up on healthcare costs, that's coming out of the paychecks of workers, because so many workers have employer plans and they go up and up in cost. And when the cost of the plans rise, that means you don't get as much pay, right?
That's exactly right. And you as an economist know that just look at the American wages. They've been suppressed. And frankly, workers are lucky if they get an inflation adjustment, right, into their annual paycheck. And right now, what is it? 2.5%, 3%? Right now, inflation. Yes. But how can you justify that the piece that comes out of that worker's hide in a 30% contribution to the coverage costs with your employer, picking up 70%, how can an insurance carrier that's administering that, how can they justify 3 times more at the low end to 10 times more than inflation to grab hold of that paycheck? And Steve, if I can also tell you, it's even worse than wage suppression, because remember that the insurance industry has also said, well, to the employers, we'll help you solve these runaway costs by having higher deductibles. Well, who pays the higher deductible? It's the employee and their family. So, most people don't have $400 in savings in their bank account, and yet the average high deductible plan is around $2,000 per person. So, what has happened is most of the American families have fear of financial ruin because nearly everyone has a story of being surprised by a bill and overcharged. So they don't get the care they need because they have to pay that $2,000 deductible that they don't have.
Hey, Cynthia, we got to run, but this is great information. I'd love you to come back on in a couple of weeks and tell us how this is going, because there is so much anger in this country about these exploding costs of healthcare. It's pretty clear by now that the Affordable Care Act did not make healthcare more affordable. That is Cynthia Fisher. We will be right back, folks. This is the More Money Show.
Thanks for listening to More Money with Steve Moore. You can hear More Money with Steve Moore Saturday afternoons at 1. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy.
Download and subscribe
at BeBullish.com.